Welcome to my 4th episode of the podcast, episode number 4, DiJestives #4. So, it's been a good 1 week, 2 weeks actually, 2 weeks since uni began, and I wouldn't say I'm drowned, but I'm close to being drowned. I mean, a lot of readings every day, and I gotta stop, I have to stop my habit of snapping my tongue. It's a bad habit. Anyways, yeah, it's pretty sad because I feel like every day it's just me doing my readings and not doing other stuff that's more productive. I mean, if you don't know yet, productivity is a big issue for me recently. Maybe it's kind of relatable, but I feel like when you do your readings and it's a pretty dry reading, you look at it and you read it for maybe 5 minutes and you zone out. And I don't know why. It's a thing, And then 2 hours in and you realize you only read 5 pages out of 20. And that's just so great. It's so great. Yeah, and you think you achieve more, but you actually don't. So that's really the sad truth right there. So I don't know how other people do it, but as far as I can tell, I'm not doing a really good job of being productive. Anyway, I haven't really thought of a topic to talk about today, but I just figured, why not talk about what I've been up to? Like most of us would be up to. Anyways, so the way I work is for 5 days of every week, which would be Monday to Friday, I would study from early in the morning, maybe 9, maybe that's not early, that's kind of late morning maybe, but yeah, I would study from 9, take a few breaks in between, and I'll stop at maybe 6 or 7 if I'm feeling really motivated and productive. But then on the weekends, it's time for me to chill. So as of right now, I'm recording on a Sunday 3:54 p.m. And that's just when I would chill. I just watch Netflix and binge watch stuff. But the thing is, recently, I stopped using my best friend's Netflix account because my mom wanted us to have an individual account because she really got into Netflix. She said, oh, Netflix is amazing. I don't have to actively search for stuff. Things just appear to me. And when I finish an episode, it would just autoplay the next one. It's great. It's great. Efficient, saves time. Well, I guess watching Netflix not saving time, but you get what I mean, Netflix is very efficient with a very good, user interface. So we got our own Netflix account finally. I mean, we used to have one, but then I had to stop it because I don't know. I don't know why. But essentially, we got our own Netflix account, and since then we've been all just watching on our separate profiles in our Netflix. So, but the thing is, I watched so many shows on my friend's Netflix on his profile, and I feel like I've watched everything that I want to watch. So right now, essentially, I'm not watching anything new. I'm just rewatching Suits because your girl likes her man in Suits. Okay, I mean, come on. Gabriel Macht in Suits? Hello? And when I say I like men in suits, I don't just mean any man in suits. I mean a man who looks good with a good suit. So, a lot of people are, a lot of working people, of course, they're wearing suits, but then it's yeah, nothing special about it, They're not Gabriel Macht. And, what I look for with a man in a suit is that it has gotta fit you. It's gotta fit you. You gotta look good wearing it. You gotta walk the walk. You gotta talk the talk. Essentially, I'm just basing all of this off Harvey Specter because If you can't tell, I'm a big fan of the man. And other people who look good in suits, I would say Cillian Murphy from Peaky Blinders. I mean, come on. Look at the man, okay? And then look at him in that, like, sort of 20th century suit thing with, like, the tweed and the plaid or whatever, and then with a hat, like, oh, hello? Come on, like, no, I feel like everyone who's ever watched Peaky Blinders would be crazy about Thomas Shelby. And I know historically he's not the good guy and blah blah blah, but, like, you know, it's a show. You can't take it too seriously. So yeah, when I say I like men in suits, I really meant Cillian Murphy and Gabriel Macht. So that's a good expectation to have in a man. What are you looking for? Gabriel Macht, Cillian Murphy, you know, nothing much. Yeah, cause I'm actually rewatching Suits. I've watched it once before, like maybe 1 or 2 years ago. But then I never got to finishing it for some reason. Maybe, like, I feel like it got too, I wouldn't say complicated. It's not that complicated. It's a lot of law stuff. But, you know, I just sort of lost interest. Maybe I'll not this time. But then there are other shows that I've rewatched so many times that even if I, you know, watch it like 10 times, I still wouldn't get sick of it. I mean, like sitcoms, for example. I watched Friends a lot of times. I mean, which is your quintessential sitcom. Like, do you even call yourself a sitcom lover if you don't watch Friends? Like, come on, you're lying to yourself. Of course, there's How I Met Your Mother. I'm not a big fan of that, but still a good show nonetheless. I watch it when I feel like when I feel like watching it. On top of that, you have the IT Crowd, which I only watched like 3 episodes for some reason. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, hello, Jake Peralta's so funny, so charming, so cute. All the characters in there are just so unique. They're like one of their kind, you know? Especially Holt. God, I love Holt. It's Bone? Oh, come on. That's classic. And then as for other shows that I would rewatch would be Sherlock. Because, I mean, come on. Benedict Cumberbatch. And of course, in that suit. Like, you cannot tell me otherwise. I think I watched that show for like 5 or 6 times. And it's not a lot. But you have to realize that Sherlock is a pretty plot-centric show. You know, you gotta pay attention to watching it. There's a lot of like thinking going on in there. So yeah, I watched it 5 or 6 times, which is a lot, okay? Rewatched Grimm a lot of times. It's off Netflix now for some reason. Grimm, if you guys are not familiar, it's essentially just a dude who's supposedly the descendant of the Grimm brothers who wrote the Grimm, you know, fairy tales and stuff like that. And he can see, you know, just things that other people can't within people. And it's a really good show. I think I watched it 4 or 5 times as well. And then there's also Doctor Who. Hello, I love Doctor Who. I feel like anyone who's watched Doctor Who would fall in love with it. I mean, come on, it's Doctor Who. I remember getting into it in the year like 2017 or 2018, which is pretty late, I know. But, you know, it wasn't shown on any TVs in my household or whatever. So I think I discovered it through the Australian Netflix. That was when I had nothing to watch. And then we started off with Christopher Eccleston, of course. He did a great job. One of the bad things about Doctor Who, I feel like, is just that Christopher Eccleston just stayed there for far too short. I mean, he's only there for like 1 season. And I remember when he transformed into David Tennant, it's like, come on. How am I gonna take this new guy? I don't like this new guy. 5 minutes in, I'm like, I love this new guy. I'm over Christopher Eccleston. But that's the thing about Doctor Who, right? It has such a long legacy of, you know, actors and storylines and doctors of course. And as you go from like Christopher Eccleston, David Tennant, Matt Smith, if the first few minutes of watching the new Doctor, you'd be like, I can't. But like after that, it's like, oh wow, you're not that bad. In fact, you might be my new favorite. Well, not really. I mean, to really, if I had to have a ranking of the Doctors in Doctor Who, it would be when I mean Doctor Who, I mean new Doctor Who. I haven't watched the classic ones yet. And you gotta forgive me, I mean, the show started in the 1960s something. That was before my mom was even born. I sure as hell aren't gonna watch it. Maybe. But yeah, in terms of my Doctor Who Doctor rankings, it would be David Tennant. Hello? Come on. Heartthrob. Matt Smith, followed very closely by Peter Capaldi. They're both great, they're all very different. They have their own unique sense of style, sense of humor. And then at fourth place you have Christopher Eccleston. I love his like dry sarcasm, and his like almost like boyish grin that he would do. And then lastly you have Jodie Whittaker, and that's only because I only watched one season of Jodie Whittaker, and the plot was did not do her justice. And I'm sorry, I like a guy in a suit. Jodie Whittaker's not in a suit, which is understandable, but then it's the way she's dressed is very casual. She looks like she's going on a picnic, like she's tutor. She's what's that? Yeah, she doesn't look her style isn't just my thing. So yes, I like a guy in a suit, if you can't tell. The first three of my favorite Doctors wear suits. David Tennant wears a suit. Matt Smith wears a suit with a bow tie, because bow ties are cool. And then you have Peter Capaldi in his weird magician-looking velvet suit. And occasionally he would like change into this like grungy rock and roll, almost hipster, hip-hop looking sweater suit thing. I don't know, but nonetheless, they're all very cool. Anyways, yeah, I mean, essentially, if you haven't checked out Doctor Who yet, check it out. I don't know what you're doing if you're not checking it out. It's so cool. You have some of the classic characters, some of the classic villains. When I mean characters, I meant villains. The Daleks, Cybermen, the Master, of course. Who else? Why can't I remember anyone else? Essentially, that's most of it, because it relies heavily on its like foundations, like the foundations it's set in the 1960s, and it's like based on like the whole lore around Doctor Who is just like where he came from and his history and stuff like that. And yeah, it's so good. I feel like one of my favorite scenes from Doctor Who would be one of my favorite episodes from Doctor Who would be in season 1 of the rebooted version with Christopher Eccleston. If you don't know, if you know that there's one episode where they ended up in like 1930 something, where like Britain was still in the midst of like in World War II. Yeah, that episode, are you my mummy? That was so chilling, man. I remember watching it for the first time. I was in Perth. I was in my dorm. I was in my room. There was a TV in my room, and I was watching it with the lights off and everything. And then, suddenly the people decided to transform into this like weird gas mask thing, and it traumatized me for life. Yeah, it was so great to be traumatized like that. But then, essentially, it was a great plot with a twist. It was so good. Favorite episode of all time, I feel like. And then you also have the iconic one where Rose says goodbye to the Doctor on what's that called? Batwolf Bay? Batwolf Beach or something? Oh my god, whenever I watch that scene, and I haven't watched it for, a long time. I haven't rewatched it too much. But then whenever I rewatch that scene, I can't fucking handle it. It's so sad. Why? Why would you separate them like that? Even though I know in the end, spoiler alert to those who haven't watched it, but it's been 10 years-ish. You have to at least watch it. I mean, come on, even though there sort of is a duplicate or a double of the Doctor, it's just different, it just feels very different. It's not what I thought it's gonna be. But then again, it's the Doctor. You can't have a happily ever after, so this is like the closest thing you're gonna get to a happily ever after. With Matt Smith, I was not a big fan of Amy, but then she's okay. She's not bad. But then there's what's her name? Clara. No, I don't really like her. She was okay in the beginning. At the end, she just got a bit overbearing. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But then, moving on to Peter Capaldi, you have Bill Potts. I loved Bill Potts. I hated the fact that she was only there for one season, and I hated the fact that she had a pretty bad ending. Yeah, I mean, she, got to travel the universe and stuff like that in the end with her girlfriend or something. But then before that, she had to die. She had to be turned into a Cyberman. How fucking sad is that? Why? I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to live out the rest of her life happily. Like Martha. She's one of the few who got a pretty happy ending. And I mean, Donna's a bit, I don't know, I'm pretty sad that she had to lose her memory, but then nothing bad essentially happened to her. So yeah. I feel like, I don't know, but then I feel like ever since Chris Chibnall took over as the writer for Doctor Who, it just sort of lost that charm. So I stopped watching it. I might pick it up someday if it's ever on Malaysian Netflix. Hello. Do you know there's a feature for Netflix where you get to recommend shows that you want to be featured on Netflix onto the website, and they'll sort of take it into consideration, and then they'll think about it, and maybe if everything's okay, and then they'll include it in where your regional Netflix. Yeah, I did that so many times with Doctor Who, and it never fucking worked. So what I had to do is that I have to watch it on a pirated website. Yes, it's a fucking sad, I know, and it's very much illegal. So no, I did not watch it on a pirated website. It was just delusion talking. But yeah, it's pretty sad. I really wanted to watch it far longer than I wanted to, but yeah, it's not great. But for now, I just figured I'll focus on my studies, and maybe when the time comes to it, I'll watch something new. I'll definitely not watch Sex Life though. That's a shitty show from what I can tell, it's pretty shitty. I'm not gonna watch a show about adultery. No, thank you. That's so shit. Imagine running out of ideas, and then you're conference or meeting, whatever. They'll be what any new ideas for a new Netflix show? And they'll be we can have a woman cheating on her husband because she found her old flame. Her old flame approached her, and something happens. No, you're married. And oh my god, so yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into it, because whenever I think of that show, I get so pissed, I get so triggered, and I would get into a heated argument with whoever who likes that show. I can't. I'm not gonna watch it. I will not succumb to that just pure evil. It came from the depths of hell. Yeah. I mean, so essentially, if you guys want any Netflix shows, recommendation, there's a lot. There's a lot of good ones. I mean, come on. The Good Place, starring Kristen Bell and Ted Danson, along with Jamila Jamil and, all of the people. Really good show. And, like, there's also other shows where it's adapted from, like, a book. And then it gets really hyped up. Like Shadowhunters. It's a good show, sure. But the book was better. The book went into so much detail into describing, like, the whole like Shadowhunter world, the whole lore, the whole legend, everything about it is just so, it's so intricate, and then the book just sort of like goes over it like it's nothing, and it pisses me off. And what pisses me off more is that people watch it without reading the book and they think it's the best show ever. Like, if you think that's good, read the book. I mean, it's pretty thick. It's kind of an intense read. It's pretty thick. It has like 6 or 7 books, and each gets thicker than the last. So, and then you have shows like Lucifer, which slowly gained the hype. The hype. I don't know how else to describe it. And I don't know if it's just me, or it's a thing people experience, but I especially hate it when something I like gets blown out of proportion. Like, it's just like for example, I remember watching this other show called Rush, I think, where Tom Ellis was the doctor in it. I think I watched it on a TV once, and I saw Tom Ellis, and I was like, wow, this guy is hot AF. Like, this dude is just something else. So I was like, what else has he been in? So I searched it up, and I found out that this show called Lucifer is gonna be released. It's filming, and a pilot's gonna be out soon. So I waited for the pilot to be out. I watched it immediately it was out, and I loved it. And I loved the first 2 to 3 seasons. I loved the first 2 seasons, I feel like. And I was just so happy that it was just my little thing. It was my discovery. So I recommended it to whoever who was interested, and they liked it, and they're like, wow, where did you find this show? And I was like, I know, it's like my little thing. And then fast forward to 3 years later, it's like the biggest thing now. It's one of the biggest thing on Netflix, and I'm pissed. I'm pissed that my little thing is so hyped up now, and I'm happy for the show, of course. I don't know if it's a thing. I don't know what kind of weird psychological phenomenon this is, but yeah. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's so good, watch it. And I was like, I watched it when it was out. But where were you when it was out? I discovered it. Yeah, I'm sorry if it's got a little heated. I have very strong opinions on that. The same thing happened to me with BTS. If you haven't heard of BTS, where have you been living? Underneath your bed? I liked them when they first debuted, the first 1 year, one year and a half. And then suddenly they were this biggest boy group in the world, and I'm like, no, thank you. And I ditched them. I don't like them anymore. I don't listen to the music anymore. I wouldn't say I hate them. I definitely don't like them now. And don't come at me. I'm entitled to have my own opinion about BTS. Yeah, I mean, and then there's other groups that I don't like. Blackpink is just one of the biggest girl groups now, for sure. And my interest on Blackpink is slowly dwindling the more famous they get. I don't know why. If anyone knows what sort of psychological thing this is, please tell me. I don't want things to go like that. Like, every time I like something, and then they get bigger, and then as they gain more fame, the more I don't like them. Is it like a what is that called? Almost like a territorial thing? I don't know. Am I just selfish? I like to think that I'm selfish. Maybe I'm selfish. I don't know. So this has been a pretty ranty podcast episode. I don't plan on doing this much. But yeah, if you guys happen to have any opinions or want to contribute to any discussion on my opinions, please feel free to leave a comment below if you're watching it on YouTube. I thought I could upload like more on podcasts. I meant on Spotify. But then, it's not. Apparently, you have to pay for the server that posts on Spotify. So essentially, what I mean is, I only have one episode out on Spotify, one episode of podcast on Spotify. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. I guess the only place you can watch all of my episodes would be on YouTube. So yeah, I guess I'll see you guys next week. Bye.